Hi, it's Sean from the Commander's Brew. We're about to bring you The Lost Cards. This is our companion show to the deck tech we just did on our YouTube channel. If you haven't, check out our deck tech on the brand new Modern Horizons 2 Commander, Aeve Progenitor Ooze. Here on The Lost Cards, we're going to cover some different angles that we didn't brew around to go with Aeve. Give you a lot of cool ideas and some creative brews. Check it out.
Okay, here we go. Lost cards for Aeve Progenitor Ooze. We started off with a green storm deck. It's you can check it out, of course, on the channel here. Very fun deck. You know, a creature-y kind of base storm deck, which is a little bit different than we're used to, and it feels like a little more fair for those of us who may be a little cagey about playing a storm deck.
I'll encourage you to listen to the episode if you hadn't. To quickly sum up, we're basically leaning on free artifact creatures to get our storm count huge. But here in the Lost Cards, we're going to talk about other brews, things that we discussed that we thought about that didn't make it into the episode because we only did one deck, so you can't do 6 decks. Just starting us off, I feel like the first Lost Card is usually going to be the most heads up one. It's like, let's look at Aeve. Aeve has Storm on it, so we're going to cast a lot of cards. And Aeve gets bigger the more oozes that you have. So, like, there's definitely an ooze angle, right? So, like, I think a lot of Aeve decks are going to run Scavenging Ooze. It ties into... Oops, I put the wrong card there.
I gotcha.
Scavenging Ooze, there we go. It's an ooze. It gets bigger with +1/+1 counters. That hurts the graveyard, which is always nice. So we can get that nice balance of like +1/+1 counters. Hardened Scales, I know we keep flashing up there, is also good in that deck because we can leverage that +1/+1 counter theme. We can run cards like Hardened Scales to get more of them. We can run cards that have, you know, creatures with +1/+1 counters get better. Maybe they get trampled, draw cards for each creature with +1/+1 counters. And we're looking at our medium. We're not looking to make 100 Aves. We're looking to make 4 or 5 with counters, beef them up, and use these other our +1/+1 counter effects to kind of help that out.
Cool. What about something where we used artifacts for this one? The episode this week for Aeve, but what if we did something with enchantments? Like, I know you leaned on that kind of creature. The creature, I almost want to call them creature enchantresses because they're like the Beast Whisperers, where we cast a creature, we draw a card. Well, what if we cast an enchantment, we draw a card? We use enchantresses type stuff. So, what about like, to get our mana up, like something like Abundant Growth, single green, put it on a land, and then we draw a card, and then that enchanted land has tap to add 1 mana of any color. So we're just kind of cantripping with these like enchantments, and then of course we can run some of the other enchantress type cards, right? There's also Unbridled Growth, single green. When it enters, it enchants a land. Same thing, tap to add any color, but you sacrifice this and then draw a card. It's kind of the opposite.
We can draw a card for free with Unbridled Growth. That's an enchantment. There's tons of little single mana enchantments to help us draw cards, get those enchantresses going. So that like I mentioned earlier, I haven't mentioned in the Lost Cards, but a key thing to a storm deck is you don't want to run out of gas. You got to draw cards. So building in an enchantress theme, we could also get a lot of mileage out of those super cheap single mana search a land up into your hand spells. That's a great efficient use of mana to get a few more spells under our belt while we're developing, and it lets us develop early in the game too, but while we're building up.
There's a card, oh man, what's it called? Gaia. It's called like Gaia's something.
Gaia's Cradle.
No, it's called, oh, never mind. I don't know what it's.
What's it do?
It lets you play an extra forest on your turn.
Oh.
And it's like,
okay. Gaia's Touch.
I think that's
green enchantment. You may play an additional land during your turn.
How you spell Gaia?
As long as it's Gaea. Gaia's Touch.
There it is. Yeah. Double green enchantment. See, works for the enchantress. You may play an additional land if it's a forest, if it's a basic forest rather. And you can sacrifice it to add green to your mana pool, which can even be helpful.
This is a great card.
Yeah, I remember finding it a long time ago on Commander's Brew and using it in our like Joel Ryle, I think it was, deck where we animated all of our lands. And then I recently saw, who was it? Who was it? It might have been Dan from Command Sphere. Maybe played this, or maybe it was Jason. I can't remember. Someone played it in a game I recently played, and I was like, "Hey, Gaia's Touch, my old." I felt like Bilbo Baggins being like, "Huh, my old ring." I was like, "Huh, my old card." I remember that card because I bought it. I bought a real beat up version, and then I still have that kicking around. Anyways, good card for mono green, right? And getting all these things were the extra lands with those cards you're talking about, like the lay of the land type thing, obviously works really well with if we're able to then immediately drop it. That becomes a single green rampant growth.
Yeah. I mean, and like green is full of tools depending on how you're going. We didn't get to talk about them, but like playing creatures off the top of your deck, we could like be able to do something like that. Green, like, so Aeve has a lot of brews. I think there's a lot of neat ways to try to achieve your storm goals with Aeve. But this is the part I'm most excited about. Okay. This Lost Cards angle. And maybe Aeve isn't the commander. Here's the idea. We came up with this so late in the brewing plan that I couldn't shift gears. I would have made the main deck about this. I want to make this deck eventually.
Wow.
It's Group Hug Storm, because the thing we haven't talked about Storm is it only matters that spells have been cast. Yes. It doesn't matter that you cast the spells.
Yeah.
So you could run a commander that lets people draw extra cards, play extra lands, that Group Hug theme. So you just amp up the thing. But if you put something like, okay, so Yeva, Nature's Herald, it has flash and allows our green creatures to have flash. We talked about that Vivian Planeswalker with the static that lets us do creatures with flash. And then there's Shimmermere, going back to our old deck tech, lets us play artifact spells as though they had flash. So if there's a way to just get the table cooking and everyone's just like if someone is like, oh, I'll cast a few spells, like, oh, you cast 3 spells? And then someone tried to counter something, so that's a 4th spell on this, like, in this turn. I'll take that. I'll cast a couple more myself, cast Aeve, and I got like a storm count of 10. Thank you, you guys, for giving me 5 of my storm count.
Anyone who's had Brain Freeze cast against them when they're playing a storm deck on like the Vintage Cube or anything knows exactly what you're talking about here. Because I remember putting a storm deck together in a cube draft and not realizing that it was all spells cast, right? Like it's the opponent's spells, and then getting brain freeze cast against me and be like, what? I've cast like 20 spells. That's an interesting when you have 4 players at the table. I mean, it becomes even more possible, right?
So I think we're getting away from Aeve at this point. I don't think I would go mono green with that deck. I'd probably do something like Teamer, because like red and blue.
Yeah, you have to have blue at that point.
Like red and blue have so many spells that like return their mana for you, or just like they're Storm Kings in terms of like colors.
The true actual storm stuff, yeah.
So like I mean, again, this is the Lost Cards. We're just talking about alternative angles, so we're gonna throw that one out at you. Group Hug Storm, tricking other opponents to like drawing extra cards, hoping they play extra spells. You're the Group Hug deck, so they're just like, oh great, you give me so much mana, so many cards, I'll just cast 2 or 3 things, no problem.
There's those cards that like, well, there was a recent one where it was like, all your opponents, like everyone casts stuff at flash, but they can't cast it on your turn.
Yes.
So that would kind of load up everyone. Well, maybe not everyone, but it loads up people.
The turn before yours.
Exactly, the turn before yours, which is the perfect time to cast.
The perfect time.
All your storm stuff to get all your tokens.
What card
That's interesting. Yeah, what card is that?
I'm gonna do some Scryfall term searches to see what card contains the terms as though, TOUGH, and also has the term your turn. Tidal Barracuda.
Yes, I mean I knew it had something to do with water. Yeah.
Tidal Barracuda. Any player may cast spells as though they had flash. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn.
4-mana creature, a 3/4. It's a fish. I love that it's just a fish. So yeah, that kind of makes it at least more likely that your opponents would sort of line up their flash stuff, right?
Yeah. Oh wow.
So that's kind of interesting.
So blue's in, green's probably in.
I love maybe just even trying to keep it to blue green, because again, if you did that stuff where you're grabbing all those land. I mean, we did this with Epic Experiment. That's what we kind of, that was one of our tricks, is that we used all those Lay of the Land type spells to put that's how we ran so few lands in that deck.
So right, we don't. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to run into too many lands when you're using your storm turn. Although I will say, like with blue and red, you get cards. Well, and green.
I just mean like the Simic cards can let you drop the lands out of your hand as you're drawing them with these types of spells. So that's kind of interesting to me. But I mean, obviously, red brings a lot to the table when we're talking about storm decks.
Well, and then like you gotta address all those instant Phyrexian spells that don't actually cost mana. What's the blue one is the key, the one Gitaxian Probe, like that kind of stuff. That's blue.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Obviously if you're lowering that spell cost in general with stuff like Cloud Key too, that like you mentioned in the main episode, that's going to help a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a cool deck there, like Group Hug Storm. I'm excited about that concept.
Simic Ooze Storm Group Hug.
Yeah.
You could go to like combine it all together.
Wow.
Get like Krav. What's it called? No, what's it called? Whatever. Anyways, yeah. There's a lot you could do. It sounds fun to me. I mean, Group Hug Storm, I would love to see it. If anyone actually puts that deck together, please do let us know, and that includes you, Sean.
Yeah, well, check out our Discord, right? Like I think it's that idea excited several of us in the Discord channel. So
it's something I've never heard of before. Yeah. Maybe we'll just have to do it. You know what? I think we should just do it. This should just be an episode that we just do, because it sounds like something I've never heard of before, and that's rare for Commander, because we've pretty much seen it all in this format.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, check back Commander's Brew right here on YouTube for that deck in the future. Although next week it's going to be episode 300, big milestone. Been doing this for a while, not counting the lost cards, but we've done a couple of these now too, which has been a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying these. Please let us know if there's any other angles you would have taken Aeve Progenitor Ooze, for this type of a brew, if you would have taken it in some other direction or something, or any kind of other cool idea. We always love reading about those in the comments and all that. And yeah, that's everything. So we will see you guys back here next week with a brand new episode. And until then, see you later.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCG Player affiliate link below.
That helps us out too, and for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.